Peterson, host of Star Time, and this is my real voice. Honest, your Rainier Avenue Radio .world.
Should have told her you were sorry.
Rainier Avenue Radio celebrates the summer of 2022. We will be live from your favorite community festivals and events, including the Doug Baldwin United Way Barbecue in Renton, Elijah Street Center's Juneteenth celebration from the Rainier Beach Plaza, Jefferson's Jumpstart concert on Beacon Hill, the Junior Football League Jamboree from Jenkins Park, and of course, we'll be live for Othello International Festival Sunday, August 14th from the Othello Park. And again, on August 20th, we will once again broadcast live from the big day of play at Rainier Playfield. If you can't be at these community celebrations in person, we will be streaming them on all broadcast media platforms. So go to our website at RainierAvenueRadio.world. If you missed them, you can even go back online and watch or enjoy them again. Rainier Avenue Radio celebrates the summer of 2022.
What's on your heart? Are you exhausted at the lack of progress for people of color in business, politics, and life? This is Cindy Bright, the host of Heartbeat Radio. Each week, we explore this heart condition in the country that is affecting you and me. We have real conversations about what's necessary for change. It's time to change this dialogue. Will you join this Heartbeat weekly Wednesdays at 7 p.m. on Rainier Avenue Radio?
Tune in to Real Estate and Money every Tuesday afternoon from 2:30 to 3 here on Rainier Avenue Radio.world. Join your hosts Violetta Strash with John L. Scott Kent North and Tina Lombard with Guaranteed Rate Affinity. They'll help you navigate the waters of our volatile real estate market and offer you some guidance on how to make your hard-earned money work to make your dreams come true. Learn about current trends, get tips on financial matters, and have fun, interactive discussions about your home inside and out. That's Real Estate and Money.
Wash your hands, don't touch your face, wipe things down, clean up your space. When you cough and sneeze, do responsibly. If you feel you're getting ill, isolate at home and chill. No, you're not alone. Please pick up your phone and call 206-477-3977. King County 206-477-3977. Public Health 206-477-3977. King County 206-477-3977. Public Health Community Radio Station will provide you with more information. Say Rainier Avenue Radio. Your community radio station will provide you with more information. Rainier Avenue Radio.
You know you can't get enough of Rainier Avenue Radio. .world.
Can't get enough of that. Can't get enough of that.
Welcome to Rainier Avenue Radio. This is Afternoons with Monique, recording live in Seattle, Washington, every Thursday at 1 p.m.
You are tuned in to Rainier Avenue Radio, your community radio station. Our apologies, the host has not yet arrived. So as soon as Monique Lay shows up for Afternoons with Monique, the show will begin. So today she'll be interviewing children's book author Cindy Lee of the book Starhug, and also playwriter of the play She Devil of the China Seas, Roger Tang. So that's all going down as soon as Monique arrives, right here on your community radio station, Rainier Avenue Radio.
Good afternoon, Seattle. This is Monique Lee from the Afternoons with Monique show. You're on Rainier Avenue Radio, and today I have the pleasure of inviting one of our book authors and also a playwright from the local community in Seattle, Roger Tang and Cindy Lee, who will be on our two separate shows, half-hour show. Our first guest is just publishing her first illustrated book called Starhug. Please welcome to Afternoons with Monique, Cindy Lee.
Hi.
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing well, thank you.
I see you have a front cover of your book, Starhug, in the background.
Yes, it's actually a page from the illustration of the book.
It looks lovely. Well,
Thank you.
Cindy, as with most of my guests, I always want to know, how they came to Seattle, how long they've been here, a little bit about your history and what you do outside of writing the book. And, later on, we'll find out the inspiration for this book.
Okay, I will tell you the history, not the years that goes along with it.
Okay. Sounds good.
But I grew up in Seattle. I've been here since I was about 4. So, preschool up until University of Washington.
Wow. What did you study in college?
I actually studied communications, if they still have that at UW.
Oh, really? Okay. Did you go to high school here?
I did. I also went to high school. I went to Cleveland High School.
Oh,
So
okay.
a local Seattle girl for sure.
Yeah. So you studied communication, and what did you do after that?
I actually I wanted international experience on my resume. So I actually moved to China, and I worked for Saatchi & Saatchi Advertising.
Oh, really? How long did you do that?
For a few years.
Oh,
It
yeah?
was really exciting time to be there.
Well, I know that you are a lady with many talents because I've had a chance to get to know you and know that you're currently working on some other things that is also very exciting with the real estate community. So if you want to share any of that, please feel free to share with our audience a little bit about your author background, and before we get into the story of the book.
Oh, so the author background? Or just my
you.
other experience? Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
you're the author.
Oh, the author background. Yeah, I mean, I was regional HR director at Saatchi's, focusing on people. I love connecting with people and helping people grow professionally and personally, and as well as corporate events. So that was what I kind of focused on when I was in Asia. So when I moved back to Seattle, it was a natural progression to really kind of bring that back together. And I currently actually work for a local company that's Asian-owned called Vibrant Cities. And we're a property developer. So I do the community outreach, the public liaison, and the corporate events for them as well. So I've been very blessed with working for them. It's a great company, wonderful, caring company for the community and to work for.
Well, I had a chance to work with you a little bit, and you're such a versatile lady. I mean, I first met you at the Asian Pacific Islander Month, where your book was also featured as part of the Asian Pacific Islander lineup, and then I got a chance to get to know you. So you're a big hugger. What's that about?
I am a big hugger. I will hug anybody that will let me hug them, even animals or trees, plants. I am a big hugger. I just feel it makes me feel better, to be able to give off that energy. And I just think the world would be a happier place. I always say you can't be mad at someone and arguing with somebody if you're hugging them,
Right.
So it just warms the heart. It's what people need, even if they don't feel like they need it.
Yeah, which is very unusual because in Asian culture, people are not touchy-feely. People who first came over to America, they're always surprised with all the, show of affection, hugging and kissing, So this is a very developed a sense of, human interaction, I would imagine. Were you always this huggy-feely?
Yes, I was always very warm. I think it started out when I was younger. I would talk to somebody, I would feel I want to hug them, but I couldn't. So I would just touch them on their arm or touch them on their shoulder. And over time, I was just like, forget it. And I'm going in for a hug. But these days, you do have to ask, is it okay if I hug you? Especially with children, which I always do. But with adults, you can get a sense if someone's open to it or not. But, when you feel it, random people, I have hugged random people.
Right.
Elevators, on the streets, because you could feel that they wanted a hug. And I have not been rejected yet.
Oh, okay, that's great. That's good. So obviously, hence, Starhug, you're a big hugger. How did you come to develop the concept of the book, and what is the book about? Tell us.
Oh, thank you. Well, Starhug is a magical and uplifting story about a star and a sea star. And they find an emotional discovery as they go on a journey to find compassion, courage, their inner star, an inclusive community, and the power of a hug to heal.
Right.
I have twin daughters that are little, and one loves, space and unicorns, and one loves sea stars and mermaids. And as I was, printing things out for them to color, I thought, well, that's an interesting concept,
Right.
So I did research it. I didn't find any other books about it, but I couldn't make the story work. I sat on it for months, and it must have been on my mind because then one day I dreamt the story.
Really? Oh, tell us that. What was the dream about? Tell us.
The dream literally was about a star and sea star, how they kind of met. And yeah, exactly. I kept the story very true to my dream because I felt like I dreamt it for a reason. So even through the editing process, I didn't want to change too much. But someone did say to me, they're like, Cindy, once you get this book going, people are going to ask, what's behind this? There must be something else behind it. And I actually took a weekend to myself and I really thought about it. And I actually broke down in tears because I realized the star represented my mom and the sea stars represent myself and my family. Because my mom passed a few years ago and the kids would ask, where did grandma go? We would say, she's in the stars.
Oh, that's
yes.
So sweet. And you've been invited. Sorry.
Oh, no. And then when we were on a trip to Alaska on an overnight flight, the kids had seen stars for the first time because they always go to sleep early. And they said, we can see the stars. Why can't we see grandma? And on that same trip, we saw a sea star on the beach in Alaska of all places. So I think, the mind kind of plays tricks on you and plants seeds in your head. And so this must have planted a very deep seed for me.
Oh, the illustration is beautiful and colorful and very dreamlike. This is gorgeous. You could see this in posters in a bedroom, in the kids' bedroom. I just love the background right there. I've seen that on several places. I think you got invited to speak when you were in Europe. Even recently, you went to a trip in Europe, right? And you were invited to speak somewhere.
Yes, so I'm a self-publisher and everything that has happened so far has been organic, which is such a blessing. I was in Europe for 3 weeks with the kids and a friend happened, she had the book, she loved it. And she said, can I please share it with my kids' schools? And I said, sure. So she reached out to them. And within a few days, it was all arranged. And I actually did 5 readings in England.
Really?
3 at schools and one. It was elementary school and middle school. And for the middle school, the entire school came out, which was really amazing. I actually did a reading at a children's hospice as well. So that was actually very special, very touching.
You're such a good connector. I mean, who would have thought? I mean, did you know that you're going to get invited to speak at these 5 places?
I didn't. It was strictly, for pleasure for the kids, show them their roots because they were born in England. But because a friend had, brought up the idea, and then as I was traveling around Europe or England, she said, "Oh, you should ask other friends." And I was like, "Oh, maybe." And then, more friends were like, "Yes, we would love the opportunity." So it was very touching. And funny enough, a friend in Seattle said to me, "Cindy, I have a friend in England who posted about this book called Starhug that you did a reading in England." And she said it was you. And so so it's really amazing how it's bringing people together, which is what I wanted. That's the most important thing for me.
Would you like to read an excerpt from the book?
Sure, I would love to. I don't know how it's going to show on the screen, but I will just read it. How's that?
Okay. Oh, can you show the cover of the book so people can see what it looks like? Yeah. Okay. Oh, all right. Okay.
Yeah, it's kind of sketchy.
Yeah, maybe put it in front of you. Right. Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
You can find. Is it on Amazon? Where, if people want to look it up, where would they find your book?
Actually, online right now, it's only at Nordstrom online.
Oh, I see.
But it is available at 50 Nordstrom stores nationwide. So if you happen to be in Las Vegas, New Jersey, New York, Colorado, Hawaii, Texas, so it's in 50 of the major stores. There is a list on my website. It's at the Mohai Museum, the Wingleaf Museum, the bookstore at Wajamaya's, Kinokuniya. Yeah, and actually, I found a stockist in England. There is a bookstore in England that's also carrying it now.
Oh, nice. This is an Asian author and artist week because I have you and Roger Tang. So without further ado, I'm sorry I interrupted you about to read an excerpt from your book. Please.
Oh, okay, thanks, yeah. See, I'll read the ending. I don't want to give it away, but let me think. I think that is... okay, so... Yeah, that's the book. Well, I should read that one. I'm not sure.
Oh, thank you, Dan. You must have pulled that up.
I'm trying to think the best part to read. Okay. One day, the star woke up feeling grumpy and didn't know why. Maybe he didn't sleep well, was hungry, or lonely. It recognized the feeling. The star asked for a hug. One day, the sea star woke up feeling happy and didn't know why. Maybe it had slept well, had breakfast, or already had a hug. It recognized the feeling. The sea star saw a sea star that looked grumpy or lonely and asked if it needed a hug. And when you close the back page, I don't know if you can see it, but the star and sea star hug.
Aw, look at that. Beautiful illustration. When my children were young, they're 14 and 18 now. So, but I think this is a great book for what is the perfect age do you think that would enjoy reading this?
Believe it or not, I actually say from 0 up to 121.
Anyone can read this book? Why do you think it appealed to everyone?
The reason why is, from what I've been told, a lot of parents want to read it while they're pregnant, up to little kids, because we want to instill these wonderful messages about compassion and courage and believing in ourselves to our children. At the same time, it's actually adults who say this messages resonates with them. I have had many therapists say to me that they use it in their sessions with other people, because sometimes instead of reading a big, thick, 7 steps to whatever, self-help, sometimes it's just a really short story that can really speak to your heart. The message is quick and it's simple and it makes you think versus kind of having too many things involved with it. So actually, a lot of adults actually pass it to other friends, which is really, really touching for me.
Oh, well, there is something brilliant about simplicity. Someone said that. I just paraphrasing. So I kind of love how simple and beautiful that connection is that you just share. I really appreciate that. And well, what happened during COVID when people are not allowed to hug and just do a little, knuckle bump or something? Yeah, fist bump rather. How do you do Starhug?
Yes, it's really funny. So this came out in last November, and I say to people, the heart of the story is about caring. Because to me, hugging is about caring, and we can show that we hug. Hugging is a physical way of showing, but you can also call people, you can send a text. It's about checking in on everybody. For kids at school, if they see a friend that's not feeling well, you can ask, "Are you okay?" Even as an adult. So as much as I would love for everybody to hug, it might not be in their comfort level. It's about reaching out and checking in on people, on each other.
While you're on Afternoons with Monique, I'm going to announce the station in a second here. This is Monique Lee, a host of Afternoons with Monique, and you're on Rainier Avenue Radio. You are watching Cindy Lee, author of Starhug. She lives in Mercer Island, 3 fur babies, and three human babies, and and she is a pretty cool person. Actually, multi-talented. I mean, you only know her as an author, but I got a chance to get to know her as a professional, and she is. I'm telling you, she is multi-talented. She knows how to handle people, and she's very warm and giving and open and such a great connector. So I'm really happy that we got a chance to meet. Now, before we end the show, we got about 5 more minutes, 7 more minutes to go. But I'd like to know if you plan to have any more books coming out after this.
I was on a roll when I dreamt this book. I actually dreamt the second story. I dreamt it, I wrote it, it's on my phone. I haven't touched it since I've written it. It's been so busy. I've been so busy with Starhug. I'm not sure, it's a lot of work, self-publishing, and I'll have to see, I actually have another version of Starhug that is a rhyming version. So I might just, put that out on my website just because I wanted to share it with people. But in terms of publishing, I'm not sure yet. I do have another book out, or another book that I've written. It just sees how much time. I'm quite busy with the fur babies and the human babies and work. And
well, how did you, publishing a book, I know that there are people in the audience that always been curious about publishing, and whether they have a written book, a novel, or a illustrated book. What is that process like for you? How long did it take from the dream to having it in print and in your hand? How long did that take, and what is that process like? Will you share with us?
Sure, of course. I would say it took about a year. It could have been cut short a little bit, but the supply chain was an issue. So I dreamt the story. I didn't know what to do with it. I happened to be on Facebook, and this lady was publicizing a self-writer course to do. So I listened to the talk. At the end, I missed the whole talk. My husband was late coming home. I caught the last 5 minutes, but I caught the bit where she said, if you write a comment, in the comment section, I'm going to spin the wheel and someone's going to win a free 5-week writing course. I wrote, thank you. She spun the wheel and I won the course. And so it's really exciting. So I already had my story. I didn't know how to learn how to write it, but she talked about editing process, illustration process, marketing process. So it was very helpful to have someone give me the guidelines of generally how much a illustrator would cost, a general amount of how much editing would cost and how long it would take, to have contracts, to put an ISBN number on your books. So things like that. So it was the details, because if you don't have an ISBN number, you really can't sell outside of, like a stand or something. So those things were really important. But the process was really fun, I have to say. I did have some moments that were stressful, but overall, it was amazing to learn a completely new industry. It's amazing to have people ask me, about the process, because I've only done one book. But I do actually do school readings as well. And for the school readings, I do a one sheet of, the process for children, and have activity sheets for them to practice to be a writer as well. So to encourage, young minds to continue reading and to write, even for themselves. It doesn't have to be published, but to keep that creativity working.
The creativity process is very important during the young years, the developing years of children. Now, how old are your twins now?
They're 8.
They're 8. Oh, that's such a great age. What did they think about Starhugs?
Oh, it's been so sweet. My youngest actually memorized the story, so she can actually recite it from cover to cover. And my eldest one, she older by a minute, she actually said she wanted to be an illustrator, and she's very creative, and she loves to draw. And when I was waiting for the sample to come, they couldn't wait, so they actually they made their own version of Starhug book, but to give to me.
It's such a cute little book, and it's a good coffee table book too.
Yes, but there's two versions, right? So there's the bigger version and there is the smaller version.
Oh, that's so cute. Okay, back after these messages. No, we don't have any message. Roger Tang is coming up next, and we are almost out of time. But actually, before we go, you said that you're going to have some reading coming up, in the next few months. Can you name a few places?
Yes, well, the most recent one that's going to come up is going to be on Saturday, August 20th, from 3:30 to 4:30 at the Kinakunua bookstore at Wajimaya's in Chinatown. So that's going to be really exciting. And then I will actually be at the Mercer Island Sunday Market for the last two Sunday markets.
Now, do you have a web page where people can, look up to see if, where you're going to be next? If they miss those two, if they want to go during Christmas season and they suddenly remember about Starhug, where can they find a schedule so they get the chance to meet the author and, get the books, or, actually they could order from Nordstrom, obviously, but
free shipping.
Right. Is it really?
It is free shipping within the US. Yeah, so it's wonderful. And they can ship it to somebody, even in another state. So I am doing it all myself. So my Instagram, my Facebook, my website. So I have been meaning to add on to the website for the readings.
Mm-hmm.
So for now, if you want to follow me on Instagram, it's at Starhug Books, and my website is www.starhugbooks as well. So there should be information here and there, and it's just slowly growing. But I appreciate everyone that has bought one and shared it and has shared it with me. That it's touched them.
What a lovely, lovely story, and it's so great to have you on Afternoons with Monique show. Is there anything else you would like to share with the audience about the book?
Don't stop hugging.
Aww,
or start hugging.
Well, Cindy, it's a pleasure having you on my show and on Rainier Avenue Radio. I hope you will keep in touch and let us know how Starhug does. And also, if you have another book coming, please let me know, and I'll be happy to let the audience in Seattle and in Washington State know about it.
Okay, I'm coming in, Monique. I'm coming in for a hug. I'm coming in.
Well, thank you. I look forward to seeing you, even though, I haven't had a chance to get a copy of that. I got to get it autographed by you. So we have to get on that. But thank you very much for coming on Afternoons with Monique.
Oh, thank you so much for inviting me. Have a great day, everybody. Thank you, Monique and the team.
You're welcome. Coming up next, we have Roger Tang from Porkfield Productions. He'll be on at 2:30, and he is a veteran playwright and director who is currently promoting and showing a show called She Devil of the China Seas. So please stay tuned for the next 30 minutes of another Asian American artist on Afternoons with Monique. We'll be back after these messages.
Here with the Rainier Avenue Radio traffic update. You can listen to us in your car 24/7 anytime by downloading the free TuneIn app. Once you do, search Rainier Avenue Radio. And remember, do not curse out your fellow drivers. This has been your Rainier Avenue Radio traffic update.
Big Day of Play is a celebration of Seattle's diversity, and it encourages neighbors, communities, and families to have fun, build relationships, and be active together. It's a day to play your way. We'll see you on Saturday, August 20th from 12 to 6 p.m. at Rainier Playfields next to the Rainier Community Center. Don't forget to RSVP at bigdayofplay.org with promo code BDOP14 for a chance to win prizes.
Hello, listener. What's important to you about what's going on in your community? Are you interested? Are you concerned? In any case, I invite you to tune into my show, Seattle Here and Now, on Rainier Avenue Radio.org. Why? I will be covering a wide range of topics important to you and impacting the community. Each show will have a special guest or guests to share with you information on a variety of subjects that are happening here and now in Seattle. I promise I will work hard to make my show informative, interesting, and entertaining. Be sure to listen to Seattle Here and Now on Rainier Avenue Radio.world.
This is your Rainier Avenue Radio.world community update on Seattle City Lights Utility Discount Program application. If you are impacted by COVID-19, otherwise known as the coronavirus, access the utility discount application online at seattle.gov/UDP for utility discount program, or call 206-684-3000. That's seattle.gov/UDP or 206-684-3000.
Hey, this is Paul Pearson. I've hosted the R&B show Star Time since the very beginning of Rainier Avenue Radio, and after years of featuring tracks from the 50s through the 80s, Star Time now plays R&B and hip-hop from the 1990s as well. A whole half-century of soul, funk, hip-hop, and more on Star Time, Wednesdays at 2 p.m. on Rainier Avenue Radio.
Are you a small business owner in Seattle who was impacted by COVID-19? The Seattle Office of Economic Development is investing $8 million to connect small businesses to operating capital. The Small Business Capital Access Program will lower the cost of Washington State Small Business Flex Fund loans by paying down 25% of the loan principal. Eligible small businesses can borrow up to $150,000 with a 4% interest rate to cover expenses like payroll, rent, utilities, and supplies.
This is Rainier Avenue Radio.world.
Welcome to Rainier Avenue Radio. This is Afternoons with Monique, recording live in Seattle, Washington, every Thursday at 1 p.m.
Welcome back to Afternoons with Monique, everybody. You're on Rainier Avenue Radio. Next up, I have Mr. Roger Tang from Porkfield Productions. He has been a veteran in the performing arts community for the last 40 years. Please welcome to Afternoons with Monique, Mr. Roger Tang.
Hello there.
Hi, Roger. Well, finally meet you in person. How are you this afternoon?
Well, getting along there, getting ready for our show, and trying to get ourselves up for things. So,
before we get on the latest show that you playwrote, can you tell us a little bit about your history entering the performing arts world? How long have you been in the Seattle performing art theater scene in Washington State, and how did you get into this? Will you share with us?
Well, sure, certainly. Basically, I got my start. I got my start working in college. Where I went to school, there was a tradition of having dorm drama, where there was where people in the dorm would get together, put on a Broadway show using only the people in the dorm.
Oh, fun!
Yeah, it was fun. It's like it's like amateur do-it-yourself theater. Also, as well, I come up from the tradition of Asian American activism back in the Bay Area. There was the Asian American identity movement started in the Bay Area in the late 60s, early 70s, and that's about when I went to school. So you can tell how old I am. But
well, you're in the theater industry for like 40 years, so we know you're very experienced. You have written several plays, and you have been trained under someone pretty well known. Can you tell us about him?
Oh yes, it just happened the last year we did our. I did a dorm drama my senior year, and one of my fellow dorm mates wrote a play about Asian American identity, and we put it on in our dorm lounge. This dorm mate name was David Henry Wong, and this play was FOB, which immediately jumped to New York the next year and was produced by Joseph Papp at the Public Theater and won a Obie Award for Best Broadway Play.
Well, you have been in the art community, performing arts community for a long time. Can you name a few of the plays that you have written in the past?
I've worked. Let me see. I've done a lot of short work with SIS Productions, and I've worked 10-minute plays with 1448, the World Cricket Theater Festival, which is a very popular, very well known brand around here. I've also done some longer plays, Shadowed Intent, and let's see, Mac and Dex, but this will be the first time I'll be able to do an action adventure show. So,
how interesting! Tell us about She Devil of the She Devil of the China Seas. What is the synopsis of that?
Well, basically, historically, the greatest pirate ever known was a woman named, let's see, in Mandarin Qingxia. Her Cantonese name is Zhang Si, and she rose up from being for a refugee to being a prostitute to commanding the largest pirate fleet ever assembled. Tens of thousands of pirates under her command, and hundreds, maybe thousands of boats under her command. And I thought, wow, that is a great story to tell. But nobody in the West has ever told it. I think there was a mention of her in Pirates of the Caribbean in one of the sequels, but they never caught the essence of her. This woman became a pirate commander at the age of 27.
Mm-hmm.
So it was like, okay, she went from rags to riches in a hurry. So I decided to say, if nobody else was going to tell the story, I'm going to tell this story.
So please tell us. There is a story about this fascinating woman, and there's the beginning of that. Can you tell us about the synopsis of the story?
Well, basically, I sat down to write it. Then I decided, well, I could just do a straight, historical play, but that's not what I read. I mean, what I like to read is historical, is fantasy, sword and sorcery, comic books. So I took little bits from the old Marvel comics about Conan the Barbarian.
Right.
And I combined, and I also took their character Red Sonja, which is another barbarian sword and sorcery character, and who seemed really appropriate to be able to mash up with Qingxia or /Zhang Si, and I combined them and told a story of a woman who might be destined to rule China. Because if you had a fleet of thousands of pirates, you could very well make some political hay.
Well, Asia, China, or even Vietnam, where I came from, the role of a women tend to be the matriarch in family, even though people think that, in Asian society like China or Vietnam, the men run the show and it's a patriarchy system. But what do you think about that? By the way, I probably should not assume that you believe that. Do you think that is a patriarchal or matriarchal society that where we came from?
Well, what I'm going to say is that when men and women have different types of power in society, sometimes they overlap. Sometimes a lot of times they don't. And I think given the fact that men are physically bigger and stronger, particularly if they're well fed, they tend to dominate in some of the bigger, flashier stuff. But women are not aren't missing from the political power or the legendary stuff. I know Vietnam has the legends of the two sisters, who led a rebellion against outside forces. So,
well, you know about this.
I know a little bit. I know a little bit about everything. That's what happens when you get older. You learn, you learn a little bit of stuff. And of course, Deng Si is actually in the southern China area, actually went to Vietnam on her honeymoon. So there's a story there, but that I'd like to be able to tell one day. But we'll see what happens on that. So.
Now you have an all cast Asian cast of several people that I recognize, whose name I recognize on here. You have Kathy Shee. What role does she play in this play?
Oh, okay. Kathy Shea isn't in this particular version of production. She was in our stage reading about a year ago. We have Eloisa Cardona as the ageless sorceress Mo.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Eloisa, Kathy, and I are longtime, participants in the Seattle theater scene, working on lots of Asian American productions and non-Asian productions in the Seattle theater community. So she's a well-known figure in Asian, in the theater community here.
Well, this is told as one of the largest Asian American cast in the recent Future Sound history. And this story is based on a real life figure, like you just said, Zhang She. Which I don't know about the pirate world being that well known, but now we're going to learn about it. So where will you be showing the play coming up here? When is this going to be first play?
Okay, well, we are opening Saturday night at the Theater off Jackson in the International District, and it will be playing there through August 27th.
So this coming Saturday.
This coming Saturday, so really soon. And as soon as we get as soon as we get the editing done, we will stream it on video on demand. So people who missed it, couldn't make it, or aren't in the area can actually go see it.
Wonderful. And Theater off Jackson, are they back in production? I've seen some fences, like remodeling or something's going on there. So the entrance was blocked off. So are we reopened now?
Yes, Theater off Jackson is open. They are our co-producing partners in this production. So we will be opened. COVID willing, always that these days. But we will be there. They will be there and helping us produce the show.
Well, you're on Rainier Avenue Radio. Is halfway past a little bit past halfway to Afternoons with Monique show. The time is 2:39, and we have Roger Tang from Porkville Productions, who is a playwright, and he recently produced and about to show his latest play called She-Devil on the China Seas at the theater, Fifth Avenue Theater off Jackson this Saturday. Now, what time is the show? Will the show start?
Show's going to start at 8 p.m.
8 p.m.
Yeah.
And how long is it?
I think we're coming in around 2.5 hours, so it's a little kind of a long show, but there's lots of action in the show: sword fights, fist fights, a lot of stage combat.
Now, this is kind of a fantasy, fun storytelling that we don't often see. We see a lot of real stories and self-telling stories in the Asian community, but this is kind of a unique where the fantasy, the almost like Comic-Con world coming to life. And have you always focused on the fantasy genre, or have you ever produced any other play of other types?
Yes, I mean that's part of our mission as Porkville Production. We want to be able to tell the whole voice of Asian Americans using that want to create art, and as you pointed out, we have done a lot of work about family histories, identity, generational classes. And I think we want to fill in the gaps, and the gap is in talking about big, fantasy genre work, larger than life characters. We can't leave the playground to the Jim Kirks and the Indiana Joneses. So we have a few of our own folks out there being, buckling squashes and being heroes and saving the day.
Right.
I think this is a tradition. We've done a lot of work in the past in that. We helped launch Maggie Lee with her. She had a trilogy of steampunk shows that we produced starting in 2013. We had a show called Fast Company by Carla Ching. It was about a family of Chinese American con men So that was a fun show. Using crime and rifting to talk about the family issues. And our last show was back in 2019. That was the Brothers Paranormal. It was a Thai American ghost story, and how a Thai ghost intersected with Thai Americans and African Americans. So we like to be able to talk about spooky, scary stuff and fun, romantic, space opera and steampunk and all sorts of things that other theaters aren't interested in. When they come to Asians a lot of times, they want to talk about immigration, they want to talk about oppression, they want to talk about how things are bad. We want to those are important, but we also want to talk about the fun stuff, our dreams and aspirations, our hopes and big picture stuff.
Well, the multi-dimension to being an Asian American, and the Asian American experience isn't just about oppression or self-identity or immigrants, but it's also very varied, as you can see here. Roger Tang, who is a playwright, and you are a fantasy genre, which is actually very appealing to the American mainstream kids or adults that grew up in America that really love the Fantastic Four or the movies of fantasy type. So, and it attract big box office productions in Hollywood, but we don't see a lot of that in the Asian American community. So this is a very unique voice that you are telling the story from your perspective. Were you born and raised here, Roger?
Yeah, well, let me see. I'm actually second generation. My parents were born in the U.S. And my grandparents came over back in 1920s, so about a century ago. I'm originally from Phoenix, Arizona, and I moved up here after to attend graduate school. And then I stuck around ever since then.
Did you study theater or drama in graduate school?
Actually, no. Everything I've learned about theater is I've learned on the job.
Oh, wow.
So
what did you study in college?
You're a lot, but basically, as an undergrad, I was a geologist and a journalist. And then in graduate school, I studied communication theory, the social psychology or sociology of communication. So I have I have all my formal training is it's not in the theater, but as theater folks will tell you, the best training is on the job. So.
Absolutely. And do you do anything else but produce the play, or do you have I don't know, I don't know if I'm allowed to ask this, but we're curious, can an Asian American make a good living being a playwright?
Oh, that's a good question. Let's see. I will tell you, I will not make a good living making a playwright because I'm very, very slow. So it's like, okay, if I want to live, I need to have another job. I do know that a lot of playwrights write for theater, but they also write for TV. A lot of my friends I have a lot of friends like Susan Stanton and let me see, Carla Ching, and of course David Henry Wong. He does he has a gig as a head of the playwriting department in Columbia, but he also does a little bit of TV. He also does a little bit of movie work as well as his theater work. Same thing with Carla. Same thing with Susan. Same thing with Madhuri Shekhar. She, all of the major Asian American playwrights these days have a second career in writing for TV because of the streaming, of all the streaming channels and shows that they need to make content for.
Well, when you see the credit roll in a lot of shows and movies, you see a lot of Asian names mixed in there, and they are extraordinarily talented. It must be because, these are great movies that I've seen in the mainstream media. So what about you? What do you do outside of producing play? Do you write for shows or anything like that?
No, I don't. My full-time job is in fundraising. I work with the University of Washington, and I do this, which is kind of weird because basically I'm working with big, large level donors, hundreds of thousands of dollars. And I go to theater, and then then we're talking about hundreds and tens of dollars. So
It clearly is a labor of love.
yeah,
And you, most of us, I mean, our second our hobbies, the second career, is tend to be labor of love. And so I see a bunch of books or some kind of media in your background there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, what are those?
A lot of them are plays. I do collect plays by other Asian American authors. I do a lot of science. I do read a lot of science fiction. Let me see, Lois McMaster, Bujold, and Isaac Asimov, Robert Heinlein, some of the classics. I also collect media from the usual things like Star Trek. I should mention I am an authorized Star Trek Paramount Star Trek character. I have a character named after me in one of the Star Trek novels, written for the next generation. So that's one of weird. That's one of weird things I like to talk
What's your Star Trek name?
about. I'm called Roger Tang. Star Trek Tang, so.
All right. Well, it is a labor of love. And how do people purchase tickets if they want to go and save a seat in the theater this Saturday? Or is it every Saturday at the 5th off Jackson Theater?
It's a little. Let me see. We are going to be there Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, plus one Sunday show on the 21st, and a Monday show on the 15th. And a Tuesday show on the 23rd. Yeah, that's.
So throughout the last part of August, you're going to have several shows. Actually, at least 5 that you mentioned there, right?
Yes.
People could go online where to find tickets.
You could go to Ticket Leap. We have a little shop on Ticket Leap. You can also go to our website. www.porkfield.com, and you'll find all sorts of information about the show, background, a little bit of a little synopsis, and that'll also have the ticket link on how to get to that. It's pork-filled.ticketleap.com / she devil. I mean, it's a big, big long,
Just Google
Yeah.
Porkfield Productions, She Devil of the China Seas.
Yeah.
And I understand that the show is rated PG-12 for some stage violence and gunshot and sexual theme.
Yeah.
And there is a deaf audience will be provided reading lights and scripts.
Yes.
And also you have caption.
We're going to try to get it to captions. Technology willing.
Well, that's great. This is an amazing. I mean, it's a big kind of size production with lots of Asian American artists and so I hope that you will fill the theater with audience that enthusiastically enjoy the show. Now, I'm curious about the name Porkfield Productions. Is that your production company?
That's the name of the company. Yes, it is. I'm one of the founders. We got our name from Ellen Williams, who was you might remember her as Patrice on How I Met Your Mother. She was the founder, and she named the group Porkfield because it's food related, and we all love food.
How big?
Yes.
Right. We're Asian. You gotta love our get together. Always have to have lots of food.
Yep.
And how many people are in your productions group, or is it a company?
It's a company, mostly volunteer, but this particular production has around 35 to 40 people working on it. Actors and designers included. So we needed every single one of them. I know we lost 2 stage managers to COVID, and so we had to have our technical assistant step up. So props to Kimberly Lee for getting answering the call and going beyond and above the call of duty to be able to hold the show together. So,
how long have you had this productions?
How long Porkfield's been around?
Porkfield Productions been around, yeah.
We've been around for about 23 years now. So a generation's worth of time. But we began in 1998, and we started out as a sketch comedy group, and then we switched over to full length plays a few years back. So.
And do you have how many plays and do you only produce plays or other types of performing arts like other type of theaters like singing or musical any of those?
We're primarily a play. We do plays. We have done we have done sketch comedy. We're thinking of getting back in the area. We probably don't do musicals, musicals yet. That musicals are a whole level more difficult than the regular plays because you have to go sing and do music along with that. So
yeah, it's a lot of work. So it's been around 20 something years that attract primarily is it Asian Americans actors and performers?
Yes, Asian American actors and performers. Everybody on the producing team are Asian Americans. About half the crew is Asian. Designer crew is Asian American, and we have a fair number of other people of color on cast and staff. So it's very much not your typical theater production, which tends to be white and upper middle class. We try to be able to change things out. I know that I worked very hard at getting training from the Society of American Fight Directors. They had a program to teach, for free, members of marginalized communities how to do stage combat. So I'd be able to bring them in and get around 12 to 13 where people certified in unarmed combat, and that's a great step for them in their career development in the theater because not that many people have that, and it's a great boon to be able to do other types of shows.
So the names, I saw a number of names of actors, maybe about 15 names here. And, I have to admit, I haven't attended to too many plays. So are there any of these names that most of the Asian American who attend the art would recognize, like Christine Ota and Anna Seifan? Can you read off a few of these names if you have them in front so that the audience who might know, so I may not know, but the audience might know some of them?
Well, we have Anna and Christine Ota at their cast of sisters. We have Aaron Jin as the son of the captain. The captain is Van Lang Pham. With us before. We have Eloisa Cardona, who is playing the Asia's immortal sorceress. We also have Steph Sola playing Yuen Lo, who is a ancient Chinese goddess of war and love. Love meaning erotic arts. So that you can look it up online, but this is a real mythological figure.
There's a lot of actors and actresses here, and it looks like going to be a fun and exciting production coming up. And before you go, I'd like to know if you could recommend, who would you recommend to be on Afternoons with Monique? Who do you know I'm going to ask all the guests at the end of the show who they know that they would think would be a good person for Monique, me, to interview on Afternoons with Monique.
I think a great person to talk to is Augustia Coley. And he is head of the drama wing of the Pratapwani, which is a group devoted to South Asian American arts. And he's akin to us. He works with a lot of people who work day jobs at Microsoft and stuff like that. But in the nighttime, these guys are actors, dancers, singers, musicians, singing. So it's like it's a very well attended productions every year. He's head of the drama wing. They also have stuff in singing and dancing. And he's worked with the ACT Theater downtown to present something at the Act Studio. And he's an excellent director who does work around town. He's also a former member of Portville Productions. So
Okay, all right. Well, please introduce us to him. We'll love to have him interview on Afternoons with Monique, and we're out of time. Thank you, Roger, for coming on Rainier Avenue Radio and sharing with our audience about your upcoming play, exciting fantasy play named She Devil of the China Seas. Thank you very much for being on my show.
thanks a lot for having me.
Have a great afternoon, everyone. Next week, we'll have Sam Joe, Commissioner for the Seattle Port of Seattle, coming on Afternoons with Monique at 2 p.m. to share about his work and what's the latest on at the Port of Seattle. Thank you, and have a great afternoon, everybody.